Mirror, mirror. Talk with the goatee. There it is. I see us now. I see us now. There we are. There we are in the tubes of you. Talk of the thickies and the tubes of the U's and jaws of the radges. Something. The radja. I know, right? And I'm looking on the YouTube. I see you, or I see me. I don't see you. Oh my. I see you moving things around. There we go. I see it now. You got the Geordie look going on today there, sir. I'm just saying. Kind of digging it. Kind of digging it. I need you now. I'm going to need you to jump up and roll under the door at the last minute. He did. Sometimes they weren't so good. Sometimes it was like he's like waiting, like, yes. So are we good? Are we live everywhere? Are we doing our thing in all the places, all the things? Raja. Check it out. We can have intro music now. We could. We'll figure it out going forward. But hey, And we've actually got some songs. But this is the Rules of Nerdquisition for December 29th, 2024, the last episode of 2024. We are reviewing Star Trek TOS Season 2, Episode 4, Mirror, Mirror. I am Gretchen. This is Gilbert, and we're dealing with some technical difficulties. I mean, um, I have a new studio set up. Gilbert's trying to get us broadcasting everywhere. But hey, we're doing our thing. Nerds are doing our thing. We tinker. We happen. Yes, right. Got us some slack. But hey, yeah, I had to put on like a whole face of makeup because I got this brand new webcam and it stares into the souls of every pore that I have. So like I had to like actually put makeup on for this show. Not that I mind putting makeup on, but like gosh. Yeah, and just use the Zoom like enhance my appearance feature. But no, that apparently did not work. And come about 1 o'clock this afternoon, I'm like, you and I were texting, and I'm like, well, I think I need to start the whole process of like preparing myself for this. This is a whole new thing, new mic, new camera, new everything. But hey, you can hear me, you can see me. I'm sorry, I guess, but it is. We're everywhere now. Nerd shit. Absolutely nerd shit. Nerd shitting everywhere. That's what this is. Nerd shitting everywhere. So, um, but yeah, I actually don't even need to use a digital background for once. This is my, well, for now, my home studio. You can't really see the nerdy stuff in the background. I got a Sentinel over here. That's my Sentinel from the Matrix. Kind of curled up, but um, I'll be moving in 5 months and setting up a brand new studio. So we'll get better backgrounds then. So we'll do the little blurry stuff for now. But yeah, this is Rules and Requisition, and we are talking Mirror Mirror. And as you pointed out, this episode is kind of funny. City has a good. Well, maybe I should grow goatee for my villain era. I guess I don't know. No, I promise I won't do that. No, I won't. Maybe I'll draw one on one day and just be like, hey, it's Rules of Nerdquisition mirror episode, which I maybe should have done. Right. The Wicked Witch of the Gretch is from the Mirror universe. But this episode starts very similar to a lot of other goofy episodes with Star Trek where we have to get into shenanigans. Um, they are trying to persuade a group of aliens, a species called the Hulkans, to join the Federation so that they can mine dilithium from their planet. And the Hulkans are like, nah, no, we're not into it. We're good. So everybody, Kirk and party, beam back up to the Enterprise. Thus ensues the shenanigans with the ever-present transporter accident. Bring an ion storm. Yep. right to left, right. And it's also where our enterprise is the United Starship Enterprise. This is the Imperial Starship Enterprise, the ISS Enterprise. So that's something that they learn very quickly. But as I always do, just so I maintain this kill to death ratio and keep it perfect, um, Vic Perrin played the Hulkan ambassador, whom Kirk was trying to negotiate with, passed away July 4th of 1989 at the age of 73. He was also the control voice during the series The Outer Limits. So props to him. Rest in peace, sir. Thank you for your additives and additions to Star Trek and nerddom everywhere. I am undefeated. I shall be undefeated. I'm that no scoping sniper in the back of the map camping that everyone's pissing everyone off. Like somebody get that person. Like no, no, it ain't happening. No. I was never that good, but it reminds me of a time when I used to play. I used to be part of a semi-pro, I guess, ish Halo team. And we had this one guy on the team. Rest in peace, Brad. Rest in peace. You were amazing. We were playing, I don't know how many nerds watching this will understand, but we were playing on the map Valhalla once on Halo 3, the big Cross Canyon map, right? And had two bases with man cannons in them, right? He jumps on the back of a mongoose and I'm driving it. We launched through the man cannon on the mongoose. We're flipping end over end. And he takes out not one, not two, but three of the enemy team. No scope while flipping end over end on the back of my mongoose. Brad, you were an amazing person. We tried so hard to push you to go pro. Um, Life didn't see that, but wow. I do this. There is a laptop. My old laptop is at the bottom of that shelf back there. I have a screen video recording of it. I need to just pull that out because I've been wanting to take some files off of that computer. My backup hard drive, I can't find the AC adapter for it. So I want to find the adapter so I can connect it to the old laptop and get all the old files off of it before I throw it in the trash because it's like 10 years old. It's worthless. But I want those videos and I'm gonna get them. That too. Yeah, not a bad idea. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure I'm only doing what I do every weekend. It's not close to what you used to do, Brad, but it's an honor of you. So reminds me of the episode from Enterprise. I don't know if you ever saw it because you said you haven't gotten through Enterprise yet fully. But there's an episode in Enterprise. You remember the TOS episode? We haven't got to it yet, the Tholian web, and it had the USS Defiant, and the Defiant was in the web and it got sucked into another dimension. It actually gets sucked into the mirror universe, and the evil archer in the mirror universe finds it. And he goes into the captain's quarters during this episode and he finds one of Kirk's like green tunics with the wraparound belt thing. And he's like putting it on, like, check me out. Like, you need to see it. It's hilarious, but it is not the same. It's not the same thing as this V-neck sleeveless thing that Kirk has going on. Brown, yes. Now, before we get into the crux of the episode itself, into the meat of it, the thing I want to know is this. Okay, so Kirk and crew, the good versions, they're able to hide who they are. I get that. You know, they can pretend to be bad, but um, why are like the evil Kirk and all them guys like they're just screaming and yelling and just raging mad. Like there's no dealing with them at all. Cause like the few clips we get of them in the brig on the USS Enterprise is them just screaming and mad and cursing and like wow. I mean, like calm down, bro. Calm down, man. Chill. Seriously. Right, right, exactly. So I'm, I just don't know. It's just like how did the United Earth Empire, whatever it's called, how did they get where they were, being so ragey and mad all the time? Hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it's important to understand that Vulcans are like the alien trash of the galaxy in this particular universe. Like they're looked down upon. Right. I actually think the mirror Spock is like Spock plus. Like he's actually got a little bit of coolness to him. Not to say that we all don't love Spock. Everybody loves Spock. He's like he got I think he got more fan mail and marriage proposals than William Shatner did. But no, no, he wouldn't want. Right, right, exactly. So yeah, I mean, essentially they have to go through this whole process of like, you know, after they realize like, oh wait, fuck, how long were we gone? What's happening here? Right, but you know, once it's reported to, you know, as Kirk and crew are trying to figure out everything out, and it's reported that the Hawkins are like, nah, because the same thing is happening in the mirror universe. They're just like, no, we're not going to let you have our dilithium, and Spock is like, okay, well, we just need to fire all weapons and destroy these people. And let's just talk about it. Maybe we wait a little bit before we do that. But uh, we get our first view of the agonizer when Spock uses it on Chief Kyle, who, as we pointed out in previous episodes, later becomes Commander Kyle that we see in Star Trek 2. So he's been around a long time. Love to see Commander Kyle, Chief Kyle in every form. What's up, Kyle? How you doing? But he's passed. Well, why don't you want to say why? I know why. I can think of a few people I would use the agonizer on. Just like, hey, you've been a little bit of D a D today. So let's yeah, just hold on to that. No problem with that. It is a it is a family friendly show. So we will not explain to the listeners why Gilbert and I think we need an agonizer. But we do. And and if you do come up with a design for one, hook us up. Let reach out. Let's talk. And other nerdy shit. Yes, that's what we do. Oh, but yeah. So you said Chekhov tries to assassinate Kirk. There are actually two actors in this episode listed as Chekhov's henchman and Chekhov's henchman number two. Chekhov had henchmen in the Mirror Universe um, before he's ordered to the agony booth for punishment. Yeah, don't try to. Don't, I mean, and while the only glimpses of the mirror Kirk that we get are him screaming from the inside of the brig in the USS Enterprise, I can only imagine how ruthless that guy was. He Googled himself. Yeah. Yep. Sorry, sorry, Chris. In this universe, Bill killed your dad. Sorry. And I just need to go out and say this because that's it's me. Barbara Luna, who played Marlena Moreau in this episode, who is still active, by the way. Wikipedia can't seem to figure out if she's 87 or 88, but you know, whatever. Um, hmm, mm, mm, mm. Another one of my many Star Trek crushes. I just want to say thank you, Barbara. Thank you. Thank you for that. Wait until you see the episode, the episode of Enterprise I was referring to earlier, and you get to see Hoshi in the same outfit. Linda Park, we love you. We love you, Linda Park. We love you. I like it. Do I need to do that for our fans? Like I'll just bring it's been a long road getting from there to here. No. But no, I agree with you because the end episode credits is just kind of like oh no 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 like just normal music. Mhm. I um and I know he's not watching, but I'll be sure to let him know that I called him out. Um, Mr. Platypus, my dear friend on TikTok, um, that song sucks. I'm sorry. It did not fit. Maybe the song is good, so I'm not going to actually just trash the song. Maybe that's your kind of music. It just doesn't fit Star Trek. It never fits Star Trek. It has, and that's crazy to think that Enterprise has been out that long. I mean, it came out probably what early 2000s, something like that. And they have a great cast. I mean, obviously, Scott Bakula, everyone loves him. He's a staple of from Quantum Leap and Jolene Blaylock, Colin Trenier. I mean, all these everyone. I can't name them all. But they're just all fantastic. And they did try to create a hipper version of the song in later seasons, especially in season 3 when they tried to do the serialized thing like Deep Space Nine did. And they tried the whole season 3 of Enterprise is one long story, one ongoing story. Which is the only other time in Star Trek history well, other than Discovery, I can't talk for that yet. I still haven't watched it. Where they've had some kind of like continuously going serialized story. They had multiple story arcs through several episodes, from what I understand, but nothing like Deep Space Nine did. And we're going to talk about this next week, ladies and gentlemen, and all you in between and beyond, about some things about Discovery. We've got beef. We've got beef, and we're gonna bring the beef. Don't ask what the beef is. We've got it. But but anyway, okay, so yeah, we're back on the Enterprise. We get through this episode. Yeah, you could just, hey, this is my superior officer. I don't like you. Knife in the throat, and you're done. You're out. I mean, they all carry daggers on their belts anyway, all the time, in their little cool little V-neck sleeveless outfits. Yeah, there's not a lot to the episode itself. It's really just a point of the the Empire wanting to wipe out the Hulkins and Kirk trying to delay that in every way possible. Yeah, and not just cruel, but but callous also. Because I think your analogy of the Starship Troopers means of promotion is a good point. Hey Rico, I need a corporal. You're it until you're dead. I find somebody better. That was the whole point. Apology accepted, Captain Nita. Like, oh, all you need to do to get promoted is wait for the guy above you to piss off Darth Vader, and then hope you don't. He's as clumsy as he is stupid. Don't be that. Don't be that. I did like how in this episode everybody got a little bit of time to shine, though. You know, Uhura gets to distract Sulu. Evil Sulu gets to try and assassinate Kirk. Um, Uhura disarms Sulu. There's everyone kind of gets to do something. Spock, evil mirrors, well, not say evil, but mirror Spock gets to do his little mind meld thing with McCoy after McCoy tries to save him once he's wounded, and because McCoy being McCoy is like, I'm not going to leave him to die, and we get a little bit of compassion from Mirror Spock because of that. Yeah, he's figuring it. He's figuring it out. Right. Right, right. So when Kirk and Scott and Uhura are in the transporter room, or at least getting there, and they find, you know, um, Yeoman Gorgeous waiting for them, and and it was actually, it wasn't, yeah, it wasn't yeah, it wasn't Sulu, or that that Uhura disarmed. It was Marlene. I'm sorry, I got mixed up there, but yeah, she actually begs Kirk to take her with him to get out of this evil universe. And Kirk's like, well, it's only for four, and I got three people here. I mean, you're cute, but I kind of got to take my people with me. But I, oh, Barbara, I'm coming to get you, Barbara. No, sorry, different movie. Anyway, we'll talk zombies another. But anyway, um, yeah. So she gets disarmed, and they do the thing, but that's when Spock, Mirror Spock, shows up with McCoy, and you're like, oh, like crap. I need my other captain back. Ruthless as he is, I need him back. Right, right, right. So, and because we have the conundrum of the controls need to be or operated manually. Now we got Mirror Spock. Now we got Mirror Spock with McCoy's like, all right, I'm gonna get my captain back. He's kind of a big D, and agreed. Right, exactly. So, I mean, again, there's not a whole lot to the episode in general. They find themselves in the mirror universe dealing with the same diplomatic situation. One universe is dealing with it differently than the other one. And after shenanigans of, who is who, and we're pretending to be someone we're not, but everyone figures it out, you know, Mirror Spock, who is kind of cooler in a way than normal Spock. I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to get you out of here. Be all right. You give me my captain back, and I'll get you out of That's very true. And this makes me wonder. So as we revisit the mirror universe, we don't do that again until Deep Space Nine. TNG never had any mirror universe episodes. Um, but we learned that the Terran Empire has fallen and the Bajorans are ruling the galaxy now as the terror of the galaxy. And it makes me wonder if this incident, I do believe, if I remember my canon correctly, this incident's what led to the eventual downfall of the Terran Empire and other species having the opportunity to take over. Hmm. So, yeah, definitely something. No, don't. Ro is a badass character. Kira is a badass character. Even Kai Wynn is a badass character. As much as we love to hate her. Now, Ro has always been one of my favorite characters in all of the Star Trek series, and I have an absolutely unhealthy obsession with Michelle Forbes, but we've talked about her before. She was fantastic as Admiral Kane in Battlestar Galactica. Um, I don't know if you've watched it, but I absolutely loved her in True Blood, another amazing villain. I mean, oh, Michelle. Mhm. She was about to. And that may be the subject of another episode. You know, we've been discussing which other fandoms and genres to, well, not genres, but other fandoms to talk about during our post Star Trek episodes. Because I know we kind of rush through the TOS episodes. That's fine. I mean, come on. If you haven't seen them already, do we really need to review it scene by scene, line by line for you? I don't think so. Right. And this one I don't think had any philosophical issues so much as it was a thought experiment. It's like, hey, what would it look like if Earth and humans were evil and conquerors as opposed to some benevolent peacekeeping armada? That that choice of words still confuses me to this day, but hey, Bruce Greenwood only had to say them. He didn't have to write them. Farscape. Wow. You aren't keeping you're not keeping the peace so much, at least the way I perceive peace to be. But What do I know? Who knows? But yeah, we get Spock, Mirror Spock sends everybody back to their universe, and they're having a little conversation with non-Mirror Spock. And I love the quote he says where he's talking to Kirk. He's like, I found, he found the ruthless attitude of their counterparts refreshing, sarcastically calling them the very flower of humanity. Like, gee, non-Mirror Spock is kind of a bigger D than Mirror Spock was. I think Spock should have adopted the mustache and goatee after that. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I think it it worked. It looked good. He definitely rocked it out. Full on beard. Yes, he did. Remember that. Right. With pointed ears. No, nobody trusts Tim Allen, but Al, you're okay. Al, you're okay. Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, of course, the non-mirror version of Lieutenant Marlena Moreau shows up with the Etch-a-Sketch or the signature. I don't know if it's an Etch-a-Sketch. What I always think of is those little boards they had when you were a kid, and you draw on the paper, and then you lift the paper up, and it clears the drawing off. Remember what those were? Magic notepads or something. But of course, we can't end the episode without Kirk looking at her and going, "Hey, she seems nice. Maybe we could be friends." Right, right. But I do really like the Mirror Universe episodes. I mean, the Deep Space Nine episodes, we had crossover, Through the Looking Glass, Shattered Mirror, Resurrection, and The Emperor's New Clothes. 5 episodes in Deep Space Nine. And then you get two. It's a two-parter Star Trek episode in A Mirror Darkly. Great episode. And then the Mirror Universe played a large role in the first season of Star Trek Discovery. Um, so I need to catch up on those. But for you, all of our efforts are for you, whoever you are. And And yes, John Williamson, yes, aka the Barbie Yaga. But yes, John Williamson, in our first hour, we were briefly discussing that we will be having audio intros into our show soon. And yes, your songs will be a part of that. So and I'm sure I speak for Gilbert when I say thank you very much for your contributions. We absolutely love those songs, and they will be forever a staple of this podcast going forward, hopefully starting next week. So yes, we're good to go there. Um, last week we talked. We have another thing, a subject we want to talk about today, but last week we did talk Transformers, and I wanted to just add something to that because I saw a Transformers movie yesterday I hadn't seen yet, and that was Bumblebee. That movie is fantastic. I love the kind of throwback to the original look of the Transformers. They did it in the Rise of the Beast also, but this came out before that, and I think that okay, you know how I couldn't remember Cliff Jumper's name? They freaking killed him in the beginning of the movie. Like drop kick, like right down the middle. Like, oh my God, I'm sorry, Cliff Jumper. And it sucks to be second best, but wow, you got second bested. Mhm. Mhm. He is supposed to. He is supposed to. He does have a voice. Right, well, we got more reflections of their original looks in this one. And I even want to give a shout out. I know again, John Cena didn't write the line, he just said it, but he was like, when he's talking to his bosses and he's like, they're called Decepticons. Does that not ring any no red flags? Like, it's in the name. Exactly. So yeah, I thought that was, but my question's this, and maybe you can answer this, and because I seem to be getting conflicting answers online. Starting with Bumblebee going into Rise of the Beasts, and after that, is that a reboot? They seem to be calling it an evolution, but if you look at last night and you look at Rise of the Beast, Unicorn, I did it again. Unicron has two very different appearances. In one movie, The Last Night, he is Earth, but in Rise of the Beasts, what we get is his Transformers the movie 1986 look. Planet with the big ring and the big maw opens up and sucks in planets and stuff like that. So, good question, Jay Thomas. We are broadcasting on Rules and Nerdquisition. I don't show that we're on Ghost Call Productions Radio. I don't know why it says that it's currently waiting. It says it's scheduled, but we had some technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. The nerds weren't nerding very well. So, mhm. No, you saw him and you're like, oh my God. You're like, oh my God, that's Starscream. He looks like he does in the cartoons. Like there was no question that it was Starscream. Right. Are are you though? And I do feel like that they were connecting Bumblebee and even Rise of the Beasts into the Transformers One universe because they Optimus kept referring to Bumblebee as B127, and he didn't get the name Bumblebee till he got to Earth. Okay, I did not know that. Nerd failure. Nerd failure. Volkswagen Bug. Well, and the character Charlie mentioned in the movie Bumblebee that when he was making his noises, he sounded like a buzzing bee. So that's why she started to call him bee, even though there was like a bee's nest tucked up under his wheel well in the junkyard when she found him. But anyway, that's all I wanted to ask. I mean, I'm sort of looking at Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast as like a reboot, and I kind of hope they go with that going forward. I know the next movie's supposed to have Rise or the Beast, the Maximals and and all that in it again. So I kind of hope they go with that. I'm sorry, Michael Bay. Thank you for bringing them to the screen, but I mean, it really was a confusing mess for all of your movies. Yeah. Yes. I hope that they expand on that in future movies. I mean, I know we're getting more. There's they've already made so many and they made so much money. There's no doubt they're already in production. We should get the next one. I think they were saying in 2026. So we'll see. But we did come up with another topic to talk about now that we've kind of got the Transformers afterthoughts out of the way. Um, if you take our initials for our podcast, the rules of Nerdquisition, it spells Tron. So we thought, hey, let's talk about Tron. Mhm. Of course, I still want to play video games for the rest of my life. I just unfortunately have to have a job and pay bills. I never really thought about it that way. So when I was a kid, when the movie Tron came out, my mom was working as a manager for a bookstore in a local mall. During the summer, she could not afford childcare. So I would often pack up like my He-Man toys and stuff in a brown paper grocery bag, and I would sit in the back room while she worked and I would play. But on occasion, she had a little extra cash, and the mall had a theater, and a couple of times she'd give me a few dollars and say, "Hey, why don't you go watch a movie or something?" To get me out of her hair because I would get bored. hanging out at the bookstore all day long. Not that I don't love to read, but and also to keep me out of the keep me out of the Dungeons and Dragons material, which she didn't want me playing with at the time. And that's where I first saw Tron was one summer with no childcare, being sent down to the theater, and it's one of the most influential movies of my love for nerddom and fandoms and stuff like that. Between that, the Black Hole from Disney, um, just and Star Trek. I mean, those are the three things. Well, and Star Wars, obviously, but these are big time movies for me. I'm, how do I plug in? How do I plug in? And you see, as we talked about in text messages earlier, how it's influenced other movies. I mean, with the whole cyberpunk game franchise, both role playing and video games now, The Matrix, same concept. Mhm. Mhm. How much money I spent on Tron Arcade? How much money I spent on Tron Arcade? And it had what, four modes? It had the attack the MCP with the disc, it had the bikes, it had the tanks, and it had the spiders, the grid bugs. Because it was hard. Because it was very hard. No, you and I have argued over that before. Like, hey, I did that. No, I did that. When you're trying to find some gender neutral way of referring to people. Greetings programs. It's always good. It's always a good tried and true. But yeah, that movie was fan and not just and but like its visual effects today, they don't hold up that great. They're not fantastic. It's in the early days of CGI and stuff like that. But when you first saw it, don't tell me that you weren't like, oh my God, like, I want to glow in the dark neon suit. Right, right. Not me, definitely not me. No. And yeah, just to respond to John in the comments, um, Ready Player One is another movie that could be a whole episode of Rules and Requisition. Just to attack every possible cameo, Easter egg, the whole nine. We'll do that. We'll do that movie one episode. I same thing. Yeah, you're entering into a fictional universe. I remember. I remember. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Sentient programs. Yeah. Yeah. It was a huge, huge influence. And I do like, even though I'm pretty much anti-religious as it goes, I like the inferences, you have these sentient programs in the Tron on the grid, so to speak, and users of these mythological creators of theirs. And then you actually have one come down to Earth or their Earth, the grid, and then start altering that universe in so many ways. Yeah, I'm not a program. Hmm. Oh, yeah. I like to think that like if I were at a hockey game or something and Jesus beamed down during intermission between first and second period, I'd like to think I'd be like, oh, look at that. There he is. I was wrong. When I'm really just gonna be like, what? Like, exactly. Exactly. But the way that Flynn was manipulating everything from the recognizers and it's just all the little early computer day lingo, like you had a byte and it could only speak in positive or negatives, like yes, no, yes, no. Computer knowledge is still in its primitive stages. Right. Exactly. Right. Oh, absolutely. And you can take that to the next step and look at Tron Legacy. Now, Tron Legacy does have a bit of, I don't know, a little more controversy around it. Not necessarily controversy, but definitely not as much nostalgic love as the original Tron does. Because Tron, despite its flaws for the time, was it was groundbreaking in what it did. Legacy showed us everything that we can do with CGI today. I still love that movie though. Mhm. I like, right. Mhm. It's, it's very, very good. And I, even though we weren't quite to the point where like de-aging technology was there yet, so Jeff Bridges looked a little rough in his Clue. I do like the throwback though, because Clue was actually in the original Tron and got taken out. So like true, maybe that's like Clue 1.0 versus Clue 1.1 or 2.0, right? 1.03754. If you're talking about actually the way that technicians and programmers come up with version numbers, it's never as simple as 1.0 and 1.2. And also, I hate that they had to try and make me choose because I'm sorry, I mean, um, Olivia Wilde as Cora was amazing, and she's also fantastic looking. But I got to give it up for Bo Garrett as Jem. She was my favorite. Like every scene she's in, I'm just kind of like, yes, Mama. Like I mean, like as bad as that sounds, I'm sorry. She was just. Hmm. The only person I don't like in that movie is Michael Sheen as Zeus. I have issues with him anyway in some things. Um, I know this is not a popular subject, and we'll never do an episode of Rules and Requisition about it. But the Twilight series is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I didn't like him in that, so and there are plenty of bad actors and bad performances in those movies to criticize. Trust me, there are plenty. That is all I will ever say. I show about Twilight ever again. Anyway, and when you're talking about a movie to date ourselves, it is now almost 15 years old. I know that they had planned to go further with it. They had intended to create multiple sequels. Um, and I love seeing at least most of the cast come back. At least we got to see Jeff Bridges, we got to see Bruce Boxleitner um, come back as Tron. Even Killian Murphy playing what's his name's kid, uh, Derringer, Dillinger, not Derringer, Dillinger, playing Dillinger's kid. And they were kind of setting up something to go into multiple movies. I just don't think the box office was there. Um, and my question, next question too. I mean, it's a two-parter here. So, you've got first of all, why do studios listen to critics so much? Because I can tell you, like looking right here, based on reviewers, critics and stuff, Tron Legacy had a 51%. But when audiences were polled, they gave it a B plus on an A plus to F scale, which seems pretty good to me. But then again, you also have to look at the monetary return, and the box office wasn't there. And I'm sure this movie was not cheap. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to guess exactly or figure out how the box office does well because Metal Melter in the comments is asking about, not doing well. The production value or budget was 170 million. It made 409 million box office worldwide. That's between the US and international viewings. But just because it made more than what the budget was, that doesn't always mean that the film was successful. Because there's post-production payouts, royalties, that sort of stuff. Given how much of that post-production value they paid out, how much did it really make? And that's hard. That's a hard number to quantify. So I don't know, but the studios felt it wasn't in their best interest to make more. That's why they went to an animated series. It's cheaper to make. And you're right, Metal. I mean, everything from the opening scene of him just riding the motorcycle through the city. I just like that part. I mean, yeah, Tron Uprising, 2012 to 2013. Hmm. Right, right. No, it is, especially if you're trying to draw in a new audience. I mean, maybe it's a little easier for them. I don't know, but when you've got a base core audience that wants more of the characters we know, because I mean, we've got what 20, 30 years between Tron and Tron Uprising. And as an original Tron fan, I'm all for new characters. Again, I loved a lot of the characters in Tron Legacy, but we also want more of the characters we fell in love with in the first place. Well, and we want some closure too. Like, I mean, does every character have to be a main part of the story? No, but what happened to Yori? Where did she go? We know what happened to Tron. We know that Flynn created Clue and they built a new grid together, and Clue corrupted Tron, and Tron became Rizzler. And but what happened to Yori? What can we even get a little bit of narrative that tells me what happened to her? And Cindy, if you didn't want to come back and play the character, why? What else are you doing? And just to be